Now that we were able to rear Anastatus on silkworm eggs, we needed to see if wasps growing on those eggs were able to search through foliage and find and parasitise fruit spotting bug eggs. Here we have a nice lineup of wasps on fruit spotting bug eggs on the ceiling of our rearing room, but we obviously need to check what happens on plants. We did various tests on plants in a greenhouse, and then we moved to groups of trees in the field. Sometimes we were able to glue eggs to leaves, and at one site in avocados we let go wasps that had been in a bag for a day or so, and using an apron we were able to watch the wasps as they moved up the tree to find and parasitise eggs. I went back up the tree a few hours later and there were still plenty of wasps. By the following day I could only find a wasp or two, assuming the others had headed off in search of more bug eggs. For larger field plot trials, we glued bug eggs into cardboard corrugations. These are much better for transportation and handling. We did several trials in macadamias, and all these experiments showed that wasps reared on silkworm eggs were adept at finding and inspecting and parasitising fruit spotting bug eggs. One trial was done with Alana Dane as part of her PhD study, and that showed that the wasps dispersed at least 50 metres in several days, and that where there was a presence of adult bugs, the parasitism rate was higher. This suggests that the wasps are attracted to areas where bugs may be breeding and laying eggs. The female wasps mate with males soon after they emerge from the egg, and then they disperse, but most females do not lay any eggs in the first day. The next thing is to test in the real world farm conditions. It's no good doing short-term trials, as this would always be inconclusive, and we embarked on a series of trials over a number of farms. We deduced that regular releases over several years was the best way to test it. It was apparent from early on that the standard approach to beneficials of releasing in the crop was not going to work. Anastatus is an egg parasitoid, so it won't affect bugs already in the crop, and bugs are continually flying in and causing damage and forcing growers to spray insecticide. As it's often apparent that bugs in crops have come in from a particular direction or adjacent vegetation, we thought it best to target that vegetation rather than the crop. The initial aim is to reduce migration of bugs into the crop, resulting in an incremental reduction in bug pressure and damage. We're trying to reduce the density of bugs in the area surrounding the crop. So standard control measures need to continue until it's clear that bug pressure has declined enough to reduce sprays. And at some sites even stop sprays altogether. In so doing, you also get help from other natural enemies like spiders. In minimum sprayed crops or organic crops, the wasp can be released in the crop if bugs are present in the crop, as well as along the boundaries. The first site to show good results was an unusual one, a fruit fly mesh enclosed organic fruit crop near Bopple, where the bugs had become trapped in the crop, and with a wide variety of fruiting plants, the bugs were able to breed unhindered. Here there was a dramatic reduction in bugs within 6 months, and the grower, Peter Harper, had never had so few bugs and so much undamaged fruit. This was incredibly encouraging, a sort of speeded up version of what we were hoping for on a typical farm, where bugs can continue to migrate into the crop. So after about 18 months, we had a handful of crops that were looking promising, with reductions in bug damage in max and avocados. However, around this time, we had some serious mass rearing issues related to the quality of the silk moth eggs and decided to pull out of the research project. We could not guarantee that we were able to produce enough wasps reliably to properly test the release program. And from our previous observations and experiments, we knew Anastatus was a great parasitoid and didn't want it to be deemed unsuccessful based on some short-term mass rearing problems. Anyway, we were able to work through these issues that turned out to be related to how the eggs were being packed and transported from China, and we were able to get back on track about 12 months later. By then, some sites showed dramatic reductions in bugs or damage, and some were able to greatly reduce their insecticide use. Others have not been so dramatically successful, but have had less damage, while other sites did not improve in the time they were released. Perhaps if the release rate was higher, or if released for a longer period, they may have improved. We don't know. What we do know is that there are a lot of differences between farms. The amount and composition of vegetation around the crop varies a lot, and some may be more favourable to Anastatus than others. While a small crop surrounded by bug breeding vegetation may be too challenging. To have an impact, release rates may have to be too high and therefore too expensive. While larger crops with an identifiable boundary or patches where bugs are likely to be entering the crop and where wasp releases can be concentrated, these are likely to be more successful. Now, in mid-2018, many growers have stuck their neck out and be prepared to give it a go. The majority have seen benefit. Some are dramatic and some less so. We now have around 140 growers releasing Anastatus. From Bundaberg and north, releases can be done all year round, and in southeast Queensland, releases can go from August through to the end of May. In New South Wales, from early September through to mid-May. Bugs are active right through the warmer months, including autumn, and those born then can live right through until August. So if this generation is reduced, then the overwintering population in August will be reduced. One of the early successes with Anastatus was on a large pawpaw block owned by Mackay's Bananas in North Queensland. The block was up against rainforest and spotting bugs were continually moving into the crop, so there was a lot of regular spraying, which ended up also inducing problems with mites, which they then had to spray for those as well. The grower regretted having planted the crop near the rainforest. Their consultant, Shane Fitzgerald, thought the crop would be a good one for Anastatus, so we started making regular releases along the forest boundary while continuing spraying in the crop. After 6 months or so, the crop scout reported to the grower that there were no bugs or new bug damage in the crop, and the decision was made to stop spraying. Soon after this, the workers were reporting an increase in spider numbers and wanted gloves for protection. This was a fair trade-off in exchange for a chemical-free environment. They've only spot sprayed the crop since and have subsequently expanded their papaya plantings. A happy grower and his consultant. We confirm program orders for the season in August each year, but it's fine to start any time as this is a long-term proactive program. We send the wasps out as parasitised silk moth eggs, which are glued to cards. The wasps start emerging soon after arrival and will continue to do so for about a week. Typically around 40 or 50% of the eggs on the cards yield wasps, and we provide about 4.5 to 6 cards per 1,000 wasps, depending on the parasitism rate. The cards are fixed to leaves or rolled around along a branch, or sometimes they're put inside plastic containers in wet areas and you put them out along the boundary. We suggest 1,000 wasps per 100 metres of boundary, and we suggest making releases every 3 or 4 weeks. If you're interested in releasing, we can fill you in on the delivery process and the placement of the cards. Anastatus, like a lot of insects, are susceptible to broad spectrum insecticides, but if you adopt the suggested program of targeting the non-crop bug breeding areas, then you can keep going with the standard spray program. The first step with this strategy is to reduce bug damage, then, if possible, to reduce spraying. We recommend checking the crop for active bugs or for fresh bug damage before spraying. If you find less bugs or reduced bug damage, then this is an opportunity to pull back on sprays. Maybe wait another week and check again. If you don't need to spray, it's best not to, as it gives other natural enemies an opportunity to re-enter the crop. These can have a big impact on nymphal and adult stages, especially spiders. The ultimate aim is to have a bug IPM program that is not dependent on any one control measure, whether that be a chemical or a single natural enemy. This will provide a more even pest management system and help the crop be more resistant to bugs as well as other pests. Okay, well, where to from here? If you're interested in releasing Anastatus, contact us and we can discuss the suitability of your farm situation. If it does look suitable, then we require a commitment to a release program. This involves making releases every 3 or 4 weeks right through the warmer months. You release along the boundaries in sprayed crops, and in unsprayed crops or only occasionally sprayed crops, you also release within the crop if you think bugs are present at that time. Check for the presence of bugs or fresh damage regularly, and if after several months damage is down, then you have probably made ground. At this stage, you need to decide if you want to go the next step and reduce chemical usage. If so, consider firstly delaying your next spray and then go from there. This is starting to look like how an IPM program should be. Thanks for watching.